Hi, my name is Aviva and I'm a marine science student at Rutgers. Today I want to talk about the eco-impacts of your diet. In this video, I won't be advocating for any particular diet, I will just be talking about the impacts of various foods that people typically eat. For me personally, the only animal meat I consume is poultry and seafood. The first food I want to talk about is beef, and beef is pretty infamous for its impacts on our environment. Beef requires a lot of land, and for that we have to chop down trees and replace it with grass. By far, a majority of these carbon emissions come from the manure, fertilizer, and machinery used in farming, as well as the burps and farts produced by the cows. This in total produces about 40 kilograms of carbon for every kilogram of beef produced. Thus, on average globally, beef requires about 7,000 liters of water per pound of meat produced. All in all, I would say that cutting out beef is one of your #1 ways to be more environmental. Next up is pork. Now, because pigs don't burp and fart, they produce far fewer emissions than cows do. Although their carbon emissions are relatively low, a majority of these emissions come from the feed that they use to feed the pigs. Now, on average globally, pork requires about 2,700 liters per pound of meat produced. If it fits with your religion, because for me it doesn't, I would say that pork is a far more eco-friendly option than beef. Poultry is similar to pork in the sense that they don't really burp and fart, so methane isn't produced that way. The majority of their emissions come from creating the farmland and from the feed. On average globally, poultry requires about 2,000 liters of water per pound of meat produced. Stepping away from meat, I want to talk about rice. While rice produces a very low amount of carbon, the vast majority of the carbon it does produce is from flooded rice, which produces methane. However, rice requires almost no land and obviously doesn't require feed. On average globally, rice requires just over 1,000 liters of water per pound of rice produced. Now for corn. This produces a whopping 1 kilogram of carbon per kilogram of corn produced. Corn has a really low impact on our environment, and it's really tasty, but we can't digest it. On average globally, corn requires about 600 liters of water per pound of corn produced. Peas, bananas, root vegetables, apples, and citrus fruits all produce less than 1 kilogram of carbon per kilogram of food produced. These are really low impact foods and are really tasty, and good for you. Now moving on to the different types of milks. Dairy milk by far has the largest impact on our environment out of all the different types of milks. Per glass of milk, dairy milk requires about 120 liters of water and about 1.5 miles of land. Producing this one glass will release about 0.6 kilograms of carbon into our atmosphere. Almond milk uses the second most amount of water out of all the milks, requiring about 80 liters of water per glass of milk produced. Rice milk, while a better option than almond milk and dairy milk, is still more impactful than oat milk and soy milk. Oat milk and soy milk, I would say, are tied for least impactful on our environment, with oat milk requiring less emissions and soy milk requiring less water. Personally, I try to drink exclusively oat milk. Finally, to briefly talk about seafood, I would recommend downloading the Monterey Bay Seafood Watch app. Overfishing has a more severe eco-impact than you may think. It's not just reducing the amount of fish, it's affecting the entire food web. By following the Monterey Bay Seafood Watch app's recommendations, you'll be able to pick out seafood that is more sustainable and more ethical. Also, by picking out seafood from this app, you'll be less likely to find parasites in your food. You don't have to be vegan to be sustainable. By making a few small changes in your diet, you can have a really profound impact on your carbon emissions. Anyways, that's it for this video. If you liked, let me know. If you hated it, any complaints can be addressed to her. Her name's Clyde. And if you have anything else you want me to make a video about, please let me know. Do you have anything that you would like to say to the complainers? We have nothing to say to you. Okay, bye.